Good morning, wherever you are and however you're listening. This is your Wednesday wrap up. Your host, not Bo, today. Herb stepping in for Bo. Bo, one of his yachts is in the shop, and he had to take it in, get it serviced, and everything get checked out. But graciously stepping in, my boy Brian. Brian, how are you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing fabulous. It's early here, but not as early as it is there, so I can't complain about anything. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Hey, early. I will listen to all complaints. I will file them in the appropriate spots. It's not as bad as it usually is for Bo, but still, this is waking up for us. And Brian and I met 20 minutes ago, so this will be an excellent show. I know we had several stuff that we are going to get to, but the first thing I did have to mention is you being a Lions fan. I have a Lions friend. One of my best friends is a Lions fan. Because I'm an Alabama fan, every time Terrion Arnold does something wrong, he sends me a text message. And then Terry Arnold gets hurt, and he's like, hey, man, my bad. So something we always have to put up with.
You have to put up with it. Just thinking me being a Lions fan, and I got half the people saying, well, Terrion Arnold's not good, and the other half saying, oh, give him a chance. It's not his third year yet. You don't have any in-betweens with Lion fans. It's either he's bad or he's good. So,
yes.
I mean, I take it. You know, he's in the second year. I usually judge rookies 3 years at a time, so he's got growing up to do still. I mean, cornerback is a very hard position to play in the NFL.
It is.
It's not college cornerback. It's NFL cornerback, and so I'll give him another year and a half before I make any opinion on him.
Pass judgment, yeah. And I think you're absolutely right about that. I think we all look at quarterback as the toughest, but to me, corner is tough because all the rule corner is almost how much can I get away with before I get called, because every single one of them puts their hands on somebody or tries to reroute or push or get physical, and it's really, can I hand fight enough without getting caught? So I don't know. Corner is always a tough position. So to his credit, Terrion Arnold was one of the most improved in his last year at Alabama, so I'd like to see that improvement. But for my sanity, I would just like the text messages to stop. So I need him to do better just so I can avoid that. So,
well, you know, it's funny because our other corner, DJ Reed, is out for a time. I think he's going to be out until after the bye week. So they're talking, well, we need to get another corner. We need to get another corner. And fortunately, Terrion Arnold's not going to be – he doesn't have an indefinite season injury. He got a second opinion.
Right.
He'll be able to come back sometime. They said even this month. So that's good. That's good news. But when they were talking, I said, well, you know, if New Orleans keeps laying eggs, although they did win last, against the Giants, but if they keep laying eggs, hey, how about getting Kool-Aid? Kool-Aid was his teammate. Might help him out a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
And honestly, Kool-Aid going into the season was the more highly regarded one. But there was just kind of a little bit more lapses. Some people thought he took maybe a little too easy. And like I said, Terrion Arnold improved enough to where he was more highly regarded and draft higher when it came to NFL status. But Kool-Aid was the guy that everyone thought was going to be a guaranteed first rounder. So I think it just seemed a little.
That's what everybody here thought they were going to get. They thought they were going to get Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So, either way.
Yeah. I'll say hello to a couple of people. What's up, Zach? Good morning. Although he logged in before, so he's not saying your name wrong. He just thought before. What's up, Mom? How are we doing?
I saw him earlier.
And Roll Tide Nation, my boy JT over there. Number of shows coming out from them. Y'all have to go check out, but subscribe and you'll get them all. Win. Yeah, I know. I don't know about those yachts not being fun, but that's definitely a Bo thing. So, what's up, Jay Bake and Mia, the brains behind Roll Tide Nation, and of course Raj made it on time. Raj is very famous for coming in at whatever time he wants to come in and telling us that's what time he thought the show started. So that's all for my brother. You'll see us tonight on the Herb and Raj podcast. So he's a guy just wants to get my team. And you can't say go Mariners. You got a Detroit fan on here. I guess you guys, I don't know if y'all know each other.
No, Rob, I know Robert. What's up, Rob? Yeah. Hey, Mariners did a good job. I can't, just to be off a little bit there. They did a good job last night. So good job, Rob. You're Mariners.
So because we actually have a clip for this, Do we think Miami can turn it around? We actually, one of our clips this morning for you and for Raj. We'll watch this and we'll see what you guys think if they can get it turned around or not.
He was really frustrated at the, just like he was as I was, and we talked about the challenge ahead to get ready for the Chargers, and that was kind of the extent of it.
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do it?
That is hilarious. I'm serious. Somebody needs a drug test, Mike McDaniels. There's something going on with him. Yeah, exactly.
Raj, my brother, this is unnecessary. Us playing it or the press conference. I mean, you're already, you've got one win against the Jets. Okay, you come out and drop one to the Panthers, which you should just never ever do. You've lost Tyreek Hill for the season. I don't know how McDaniel survives this season, to be honest. The longer he's been in Miami, I think the worse he gets.
Yeah, I think by the time, if it doesn't get any better by the time the bye week shows up, I think he's going to be gone. Because I don't think they can sit there and just have him continue to do like, his press conferences are wild. I mean, he's a buffoon up there. I don't know. I'm telling you, somebody needs to drug test him. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Being in Miami is not good for everybody. So, we've seen the movies. We understand how it goes. Raj has some good stories from Miami he could tell everybody. So, or maybe not tell everybody now that he's married. But no, you just got a team where you've poured everything into the offense. You're way more of a win now team. You're not building anything for your future. Your quarterback's getting $50 million. At some point, somebody has to be held accountable for what's going on in Miami, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's definitely him.
Dang.
Yeah, he should be in politics. Yeah, speaking of yeah, and their bye week isn't until the week 12, so
that's pretty late for a bye week then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see, and it's sad, like when you watch this team, it was competitive game against Buffalo. So it's like you feel like they had it in them. But like this past week, I'm surprised that he survived that. So I don't know where they go from here. It's like what JT said, Waddle looks good. Yeah, the biggest question with Waddle has been his injury history since he's been there. I think a lot of people thought he had the talent to be a number one, and being a number two behind Tyreek worked for him, but he's just been in and out of the lineup. So the running game kind of comes and goes, even though they're spending money on that. I don't know. This offense should just be more consistent than it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think their offensive line isn't exactly the greatest, but Tua's playing about where Tua usually plays at. Waddle's stepping up a little bit. Let's not forget about Waller. Waller's doing a good job. Talk
about things I didn't see coming. Waller being the savior for the offense.
What kills me about the situation is Jonnu Smith last year flourished in the offense. So I didn't think that there would be too much of a letdown with the tight end, even if it was Darren Waller coming off of early retirement there. But he's been doing. And then against the Panthers, they didn't even throw in direction in the second half. I'm like, dude, this guy's killing it. So
I mean, he's basically won you the game against the Jets. And like you said, had a good first half. So I don't know, and that's where I think the inconsistency is going to get them. If you're doing all this and your offense is inconsistent and you don't put any resources towards the defense, I don't see how you survive. So tough to live my only Spanish police Navidad uno más cerveza. Yeah. So no, I could definitely see him getting out of there soon. So moving right along. Bo left us a couple of things we got to look at. This is always a funny one to me because I can't believe this continues to happen in the pros. Actually, at any level, but the pros.
From Sly is good. And the Tennessee Titans end their 10-game losing streak and finally get their first win of the season here in Week 5.
Yeah, he did the Chad. I'm starting to call him the Chad Powers because I don't know if anybody
I've seen
Chad
the clips.
Powers.
Yes.
Yeah, he drops the ball just before he gets to the goal line and celebrates, and so his career takes a bad turn for the worst. That whole game was a bunch of Cardinals. From that play to Kyler Murray getting hit in the face mask with a snap. I was like, dude, this is a comedy of errors. Titans got away with that because the Cardinals didn't play well, or else I would have been Titans would be 0-5. But it is what it is. This is why it's the NFL on every given Sunday.
Yes, sir. And it's funny when we were previewing that one just for the pick'em show, we said one thing the Cardinals always do is beat up on the bad teams and lose to the good teams. When you start to flip that and you can't beat the bad teams. But I mean, going back to the fumble itself, and we'll show the next. Yes. When there's so much that first off, I don't get you've toted the rock all the way down to the goal line. Did it suddenly get this heavy to where you're thinking, okay, what kind of celebration is that anyway? Just dropping it before. And one of my favorite comments, just kind of following this thread on Twitter, is there's some guys who go, like, if you slow it down and look, it did touch the face of the goal line. Should have been a touchdown. I'm like, why make it that close though? Why make it to where you can even look at it? Carry it to the back of the end zone, do some corny dance for the cameras, and then run to the sideline. Like, I don't understand how that's even a thing. Happened the week before. Forgot the player's name, but already happened the week before. So
the Colts.
Yes,
yeah, for the Colts. Mm-hmm.
And as hard as it is to score a touchdown, so. Exactly. I want to keep that ball forever. If I make it, it might go home with me. That's
well, like Bo says, he said, don't these guys didn't some of these guys run track in high school and college? I mean, they can you go until you cross the tape, and that's a good point. I mean, you see that white line, just keep going until you hit the second white line, which is out of bounds. That means you're all the way through the end zone. So, and don't drop the ball. I don't understand it either. It's just mental lapses that these players are having. The new NFL, the new college,
But I thought the touchdown dance was part of it in the new college and the NFL, But if you don't get the touchdown, you don't get to celebrate. And then most of you guys have some kind of clause in there for touchdown. Like, I would just secure that thing. Maybe that's just the fan of me just thinking how valuable that is. But I don't know. It's there's a reason why like a 9 or 10 touchdown season is considered still a good season. You're not grabbing one every game or even every other game half the time. So I don't get it. And mental lapses that's just, you're professional. You're actually getting paid to do that. So carry it to the end.
Yeah, this is going to be an era of kind of bad basic football. Tackling was already at a premium. People don't know how to tackle. And this stuff right here, just the mental lapses. I hate to be the Gen Xer and say, oh, it's this generation, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I haven't seen going through watching football through my lifetime, I've never seen so many ridiculous things in a short span of time in this era of football. And it's like, dude, what's going on with this game, man?
Yeah. I can tell you, I mean, it is changing a lot. I don't think you can get on the kids as much. First off, you have like 6th and 7th graders being recruited now, freshmen in high school getting paid. It's just changed to where, and kids are transferring and being recruited in high school, stuff that never used to happen. So now at a case where you used to say, hey, shut up, get your butt on the bench if you mess up. Now that kid has an option of, well, you know what, if I'll just leave and somebody else will play me, So I don't think you can coach as hard. That's why a lot of the older coaches end up leaving the game, in my opinion, have left the game because you just can't do you can't hold people accountable like you used to be able to. So that's my feel on it. I think you're seeing that in college too.
Example of that.
Yeah.
Nick Saban is a big part of that too. You know, it's the structure is falling apart. I don't mind players getting paid in college. That's not the issue, but have a structure to the NIL. Don't just throw something out there just to pay players. Let's have a structure. Stop having them do portals every year. I mean, you're going from one college because you can't succeed in one area. Then you're going to another college where you think you're going to succeed and you can't succeed there. Maybe you're just bad. Maybe you're just not a good football player. I'm tired of seeing that kind of stuff. Be on a team, beat players out. That's what gets you. I mean, that's what life is about anyway. It's the same thing, you know, when we give participation trophies to folks. It's like, okay, well, it was great that you played the game. No, you lost. You lost. Yeah. Try again. You lost.
Yeah. And maybe I grew up in that era. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I grew up in that era where it was like, if I didn't win, I didn't want anything. You know, I want first or nothing. You know, what is it? If you're not first, you're last. And that's not even a joke. So,
yeah. Roll Tide, I do have a college team, and it is Michigan, Big Ten.
Yeah. JT, I wasn't going to tell you that because we didn't, you know, Michigan's had our number the last couple of times. So I didn't know if you wanted to bring that up or not. So we'll throw a little bit of that in at the end because you guys got a big game coming up this weekend, just like we do. So
yeah.
All right. So to finish off the fumble, there was a flip side of it. Don't know if this was what you consider coaching hard or, you know.
I woke up this morning and didn't feel great about it, honestly. And so in the team meeting, I addressed it. I apologized to Omari, apologized to the team. And I just told him I kind of let the moment of what happened get the better of me there. Obviously, like I try to be emotionally stable and calm because my job is to solve problems when during a game. So it's not really who I am, who I want to be. And I told the guys that today. So it's a mistake by me, and it's just like everybody in there. Everybody made some type of mistake yesterday, which is, you know, culminates to why we didn't win the game, and we can't let it happen moving forward.
What were your first thoughts when you saw before the apology, before the fine? What were your first thoughts when you first saw the hit?
I mean, it is what it is. I understand where he's coming from to a point because it's hard to coach in the NFL. Obviously, you know, your owners hold players more to esteem than your coaches do, even though we do have owners in this league that hold on to coaches for way too long. But still, and then what the coaches are, they have to, especially like if you're a coach for like, I'm just making an example, but if you're like a coach for Jerry Jones, that's got to be the hardest job because you got to do your job, but at the same time, Jerry Jones is going to come in there and tell you how to do things, and that's not saying Gannon has that whole situation going on in Arizona, but I'm just using it as a reference as how hard it is to coach in the NFL. And he sometimes you get like that. If you're not emotional as a coach because you want your team to win, you want your team to be solid, you want your team to do good. That's the whole point, the reason why you're coach. That's why you get paid to be a coach, because you're trying to succeed with that team. It's a business at the end of the day, but at the same time, it's a physical sport. You got to go. You got to do what you got to do as a coach. Emotion has all what to do with it. Just to be there and just to be, you know, saying that I need to be more calm. No, not necessarily. I have a coach in Detroit with Dan Campbell who's always emotional about stuff. He'll cry on the podium. He'll you know, he'll get those rah-rah speeches in the locker room. He'll hug his players, but at the same time, he's got that other part of him where he says, "Hey, you're not doing good. You don't belong on this team because you're not trying. So you got to go." So I mean, it's all a balance in coaching. I can't fault him for doing that. I can't. I really can't. It's a player and coach. I couldn't do that.
Right. And I was really waiting to see and I always feel like Amari is what I'm gonna call him because I'm gonna mess up his last name. Kind of want to see his reaction to the whole thing because I agree. It feels bad to say, yeah, he hit the player. I agree with it, but I see a lot of where you're coming from. I think Campbell is an excellent, illustration of that. The guys see that you're emotional and that you take accountability because he never gets up on the thing and just tells you everybody else sucked. Like some of these other coaches that you've seen, I'm an Alabama player. I'll tell you the Auburn coach does that all the time. And I don't mind throwing shade at him, but he always takes accountability, but you can see that his players would run through a wall for him. And if your coach is laid back and unemotional, sometimes our fan base tried to turn on our coach because they didn't see enough from him. Mm-hmm. But you can't say, I want that from him, but then there's this line and you got to toe it, especially when you see something. Look, if you miss a block, yeah, I'm frustrated at you. Okay. Hey, I dropped that catch. Okay, maybe that's, there are frustrations there. But that one is so egregious that I can see where, and then you lose the game too. And I know you hadn't lost at that point, but everything fell apart. You lose. It doubles down. And like you said, who's more likely to get cut or fired at the end of this? The coach 1,000 times over. You could lead the league and drop passes and the coach will still be the first person gone. So I absolutely get where the emotion comes from. And it's good he came out and apologized. And they hit his wallet 100,000. Do you think the fine 100,000? I mean, I'd hit him in the face if I'm taking 100,000. Like, go get your money's worth.
This one cost me this much. Come here, man. Let me hit you in the face.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is weird with their fines. They get really outrageous with a lot of their fines too. What was it? One of the Lions players got fined. I think. Oh, it was Amon St. Brown. He got fined because after a touchdown he scored against Baltimore, he used some profanity and he used the N-word. I mean, whatever. But it was like, and he got caught in a hot mic. I'm like, first of all, what happened to freedom of speech anymore? You know what I'm saying? He wasn't being offensive to anybody. Well, if you take the N-word offensively, I guess you were, but he wasn't being offensive to anybody. He was expressing his thoughts. And the fact that the Lions have never, weren't in Baltimore, I mean, it feels good to do that kind of stuff there. And that's what he was expressing. Those kind of things happen. Like I said, the coach if he should have been fined, he should have been fined by the team. I don't think the NFL should have been putting their foot in that situation either. That's your player. How are you going to fine me for disciplining my player? Right. Go somewhere with that, NFL. You're just trying to get money from people. That's all you're trying to do. It's not like you're making enough now, You got to take everybody else's money.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, actually. If the team doesn't step in and they don't have a problem with it, and like I said, the player hasn't come out and said anything. He said he thinks the team fined him. So
was it the team, Robert? I thought it was the NFL. It could have been the team. If the team fined him, then I find there's nothing wrong with that. But if the NFL,
where does the money go? Do you pay a player with it? Yeah,
right. So. We're going to use your $100K and use it.
Oh yeah, he's right. It does say it in the article. It was by the team.
So. Oh, it was by the team. Well, that's allowable. I can deal with that. I mean, you take care of your in-house stuff.
Right.
100,000. I mean, maybe it is a little bit too much, but at the same time, I mean. It is what it is. If it was the NFL, I'd have a big problem with it. But since it's in team, I agree. It's cool.
Yeah, thank you, Robert, for pointing that out too. I definitely had that one wrong. Tigers, Stripes, what's up? Good morning. What's up, Big Mike? Good morning. I know he's logging in from work, so hope all is well this morning. And Bo, we hope the yacht is getting fixed up and you will be back in action soon. Grab my face, yeah. Well, we talked about that earlier. You don't get that anymore because all the old school coaches are gone and you're not allowed to get physical or do that. And like I said, it's a thin line now, but we want more emotion from our coaches. We want more emotion from our players, but we don't want that much emotion from our coaches and players. So it's like everybody has this line that they don't want you to go over, but we definitely get on the passive players in all this. So
no more Bobby Knights, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely not. No more Bobby Knights. Well, I mean, there is one old school coaches out there that maybe should go. Maybe it's time for Bill Belichick to go ahead and walk away.
Well, I've never seen Bill Belichick fight anybody, so I mean,
Yeah.
he's pretty static. He's not emotional about anything. So maybe that's his problem. But anyway,
yes. I mean, probably emotional about his girlfriend, I guess. But you've seen a lot of stuff come out lately, like he's had to, what was that wrong? No. I mean, and I know that's not where we were going, but we're almost at the top of the hour, so I'll just throw this one in really quickly. Was it Hard Knocks had a thing that they were going to do with him, and then they canceled it because it wasn't going to go into the season, only just in the preseason. So Belichick nixed that. Then they were going to cover him during this. Hulu was going to do a documentary on him during the season, and then they saw the team was actually playing, and they said, "Okay, never mind." And then his girlfriend Jordan is getting in there. It's like, do you think it just would have been better for Bill to just retire from the Patriots versus like having your legacy tarnished at the end by this?
Bill, I guess Bill is that he's going through his midlife crisis. That's the only thing I can
like
say.
70.
That's scary because that means he'll live to 140. Oh my.
Yes.
And I mean, give him some time with, University of Carolina is not a football school. It's a basketball school. I would think that you could give time to I think he's going to get time to at least resurrect some of the football program. I mean, when you like I say, we were talking before, Notre Dame is known for football. You don't know nothing about basketball too much. I mean, their basketball program is starting to rise a little bit. But UNC is the same way. Their basketball program is great, but you don't hear about their football program because their football program isn't good. So hopefully Bill can raise that up there. He's not doing a good job so far, but granted, with the players he's got, he's not a guy that goes into your living room and recruits people either. And I think that's another thing that's missing from a lot of head coaches in the NCAA. So that needs to be brought back.
Yeah. That's that's why I don't think NFL coaches are ready for college, really. I think the transitions both ways are different. But for an NFL guy going to college and all of a sudden you're going from grown men to trying to beg 17 and 18-year-olds to come to your school. I mean, to your school. I just think that's a huge, huge transition. So I'm not surprised. And like you said, there's no kids out there who are thinking, I really want to go to North Carolina. 90% of the decisions these days are made on money. And then the 10% is like, oh, what school do I like more at times? Mm-hmm. So I don't see it. I don't see how it works out. And I don't think it's been – when Coach Prime went to Colorado, love it or hate it, the profile of the school was raised, and then they got to go to another conference and he's done well. You just haven't seen that kind of immediate effect for Belichick. And I think with the transfer portal, people expect more immediate results. So I think that's the problem that he's going to get up with. So real quick, right before we get to the top of the hour, if you're in the Seattle area, please use the QR code on the screen for a free 5-day pass at any of the three True Fusion gym locations: Bellevue, Bellard, and University Village. Pilates, boot camp, yoga, more. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. Something clearly that I could use, but don't take my physique in the case. Please check them out at True Fusion University Village. So I'm with you on that one, Herb. I always tell people I got a dad bod without the kids. So what you're doing. And we're right at that 30-minute mark. We're gonna have to say goodbye to our radio audience. If you are tuning in from 97.3 ICU radio, stay tuned for some smooth jazz heading your way. Or you can switch into our YouTube and continue watching the show at Football Talk. Be able to catch the second half of the show. We're talking about power rankings. Will be the first thing up. So everybody else, see you. Have a good morning, afternoon, or whatever. All right. Bo left us his power rankings. So this will be the first time for both of us seeing it. Let's see how well you did this week, Bo. Your Lions are number one. Bryce, that's it. Show's over. Bo's a genius. No. Yes. So, and I think he had him at number 2, even above some undefeateds last week. But do you feel like you guys are playing like the number 1 seed overall right now, if this was true?
Now, when I do power rankings too, and my power rankings are based off record and point differential. And right now, it's the Colts number 1 and the Lions number 2 because the Colts have a 74-point differential, and the Lions have a 62. So, and they're 4-1. I mean, obviously, these are all 4-1 teams. I mean, that's good. The Eagles have been playing. They've been playing close to the mediocre to and winning games. I give it to them. They've been winning games, but it's like they shut down in the second half. Yes. I don't know what's going on with that whole situation, and they got a lot of dissension going on in ranks right now. Both the receivers are not pleased with the passing game. They're not pleased with Jalen Hurts. I don't know what's going to go on here, and Sirianni needs to get that stuff together. You've been in the Super Bowl twice. Dude, get together. You're the head coach. Squash this stuff. Again, I don't mean to keep referring to Dan Campbell, but you don't see any of the ego stuff going on in the Lions. That's the reason why they're a consistent team and they're a good team like that. The Eagles, they have that all the time. Yeah, well, they won 2 Super Bowls. Okay, well, I mean, they've been in 2 Super Bowls, but okay. But you see what you got to go through? You got to go through a whole bunch of drama queens. So, and the Bills, I guess I think you would drop them because they lost to New England, but that's a division game. Got to give them a little bit of credit for that. Not losing, obviously, but to the fact that it was a division game they lost. I think the Bills need to tighten up on their rush defense, though. Their run defense is atrocious.
Yeah. And I think it was also them being favored and being at home. That's not the kind of game you can drop. And that first half is just like, neither offense was good in the first half, but I think both offenses kind of just disappear, but in particular the Bills just couldn't get anything going. Then you get a timely pick from Josh Allen. It just a culmination of a lot of things, and in a division where it looks like you could run away from it, you just really probably can't afford to drop one to the Patriots. But it feels like the way the AFC is shaking out. Well, let me go back to your original point. The Colts, I think everybody is waiting for them to fail, and so we're surprised that they keep winning. And I think that's the problem. That's why they'll still stay at 5, even though, like you said, they have one of the highest point differentials. Nobody's ready to believe in Daniel Jones, and nobody's ready to believe the Colts can keep winning. I think that's the biggest problem there.
I mean, you got to look at the Colts too. They could be easily 5-0. They were just one of those Chad Powers touchdowns away from beating the Rams. And that was Daniel Jones not having a great game too. I mean, he had a touchdown and 2 interceptions in that game, and it was against a good defense. I mean, quarterbacks are going to struggle against good defense. Good defense, no matter who you are. So to me, they almost won that game if it wasn't for the Chad Powers incident. And if they won that game, this wouldn't even be the Colts would be number 1 automatically because they're the only 5. They would be the only undefeated team. But I would put the Colts up there. I think Tampa Bay and the Colts right now. I think they're both playing better football than the Eagles and the Bills, to tell you the truth. I think Tampa Bay, man, Baker Mayfield, he is playing at an MVP level right now. That game against Seattle, sorry, Bo. That game against Seattle, dude, to go on the road and to come out looking like that, oh man, that's great. That's awesome. And the Colts, like I said, they continue to win. I guess I was one of those people that was thinking they're going to fall flat in their face at some point in these last 5 games, but they haven't. And it's just like San Francisco was another team that I thought was going to fall flat in their face because all their injuries, and they're playing awesome football too. Jacksonville, to me, is getting lucky.
So there's a lot to unpack there. The Jacksonville one, I'm watching that game, and we're kind of just half paying attention and then checking it out. But the game-winning touchdown, I guess, is obviously what everybody's talking about. But you got the full, to me, Trevor Lawrence experience in that game. Fumble at the goal line, right? Interception, which may not be all his fault, but it seems he gets, several of those a
Blame
season,
for it.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the last drive, I don't know if you watched the whole drive. The last drive started off with 2 terrible plays. And I was like, this is going to be the worst game-winning, attempt at a game. And then all of a sudden, absolute dime down the right sideline to get you like 30 yards. And I'm like, where did that pass come from, compared to what we just had? And now he's throwing it all over the place. And then maybe the most Trevor Lawrence game-winning touchdown ever to fall over, hop back up, and run around and get in. So I would not be shocked to see them, if I believed any more in the Texans and getting it turned around, I wouldn't be shocked to see them catch the Jags, just because I don't have a whole lot of faith in them in the long term.
Yeah, we'll see how good they are. They got to go to Seattle this weekend, so it's going to be interesting. Seattle comes to Jacksonville. My bad. So I think Seattle's going to win that game, and they're favored to win that game. I just think Seattle's playing a better brand of football than Jacksonville is, even though Jacksonville is finding ways to win. But like Robert says, the Colts haven't played anybody real tough. Neither has Jacksonville, except for the Chiefs. And the Chiefs really, are they tough? Are they tough? I don't
think anybody can figure it out for real.
Yeah.
So, I think in the Chiefs' favor, is like I said earlier, the NFC is kind of just falling apart. So you're like, they can kind of, you thought the Chargers had a chance to run away with everything, and now they lose 2 straight instead. So even the Chiefs at 2-3 are probably still dangerous. Buffalo, like you said, with the run defense, they're still showing a little bit of weakness. Who else has challenged them? The Texans weren't even real challengers when they fell off, and nobody's going to believe in the Colts and Jags if they win that division. I'll never be a believer in Pittsburgh. They just have first-round exit written all over them every year. So, who's the challenger? Who's going to stop, the Chiefs and Bills from meeting up in the AFC Championship game? Are you a Broncos? He has them at 8. Are you a Broncos believer?
The Broncos are playing pretty. Hey, be Philadelphia and Philadelphia, and that's kind of hard to do. Broncos are a good team too. I picked them to win that division, so they're doing exactly what I thought they were going to do. The Jaguars are a surprise. The Colts are a surprise. Bills aren't a surprise. Kansas City is a surprise because how much they're failing right now. Yeah, the AFC and Baltimore, totally down the drain.
Yeah,
that division, that's like one of the worst divisions. And we're always talking about the AFC South being one of the worst divisions, but that's not the case because they got 2 4-1 teams playing in there. And what is Houston now? 2-3. They only got 3.
They won 2 in a row.
The Titans even got to win. So it's that division is not anywhere as bad as the AFC North is. The AFC North is atrocious.
Yes, Pittsburgh's the leader. 3-1 right now, but you have the Bengals and Cleveland, and who decided to trade quarterbacks. So I don't. Just when you thought the Browns couldn't mess up the quarterback situation any worse, now they just trade one off to they trade their starter, or presume starter for the beginning of the year, off to Cincy. I don't know what Cincinnati thinks they can make better of Flacco than anyone else has at this point. And now you've got 2 rookies in your first 2 spots if you're the bank. I don't know. If you're the Browns. I don't get what's going on with any of these teams, I guess, in that division right now.
Well, the Bengals, I don't even understand the whole situation with getting all these quarterbacks because their offensive line is atrocious.
Right.
This is the reason why Burrow is out right now. If Burrow didn't have to do all this scrambling and moving around, and he wouldn't have got that turf toe injury, serious. And Browning's going to be in that segment. Browning's been throwing picks left and right because he's getting rushed, and he's not experienced like Joe Burrow. He's not that type of quarterback, and he's just throwing stuff to there's a couple interceptions in the Lions game last week. I was like, dude, who are you throwing to? You ain't even close to the receiver. What's going on with you, man? And those are the kind of – you're not going to get a quarterback to solve that problem if their offensive line is bad.
Right. So. Which is disappointing given how much they've spent on the offensive positions, to not invest anywhere else. I'll continue to say if they were going to build it this way, they should have just traded Higgins at some point, got some assets, spent some money anywhere else, and rode out Burrow, and Chase and see what you got. But I'll always say, oh my God, the name escapes me. They got the receiver from Alabama, who's always, I think, already out of the league, maybe just because of, I think, some domestic issues or whatever, got arrested. And we were like, he was a head case at Alabama. But I truly believe they wanted to get him. And I'm one of my Bama friends, the guy came from Georgia to Bama, and I already forgot like that. But anyway, I feel like they thought if he pans out, we can let Higgins go. He didn't pan out. They felt like they had to keep Higgins and keep, Chase, and then they've already paying Burrow. But what's the point if, like you said, you have no defense and you have no offensive line, so therefore you have no running game either. And last year you had, the guy who would have been MVP had his team made the playoffs, and the Triple Crown winner, and you missed the playoffs? It wasn't going to get better. Burton, thank you. I'm embarrassed that I cannot remember his name. Burton got us a penalty at the end of the Mississippi State game during the kneel down because he wouldn't shut up, and he was, yapping at a player. We knew he was a head case. So, you're right, J Bake. Thank you for that. We already knew he was a head case. So I already had my doubts before he got here, but you could just see a lot of mismanagement in what the Bengals have been doing with that team.
Yeah, that whole division is drama laden. You got Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers. Don't know if he's going to go to his dark retreat pretty soon. Cincinnati with their offensive and defensive, after paying up, Chase and Higgins and Joe Burrow, by the way. And then you got Cleveland. We don't know what's going on with Cleveland. Cleveland don't even know what's going on in Cleveland.
No.
Yeah. So, and Baltimore.
I would have traded Myles Garrett, to be honest. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and Baltimore is, that's a good point. But Baltimore is falling apart. But you know what? Myles was wanting to trade last year.
Right.
He was up there talking, I don't care about the money. I want to go to a contender. Well, we're going to give you so much money, Myles, to stay.
That you don't
care.
Oh,
great. I'm there.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't care about winning, bro. You care about the money.
No.
So.
My only thing about this is if you're going to take that money, we can't hear from you in 2 years complaining about the team, right? Because there's nothing yet. Raj, I honestly thought y'all were going to make a play for him when that whole situation was going. I don't want to hear it in a couple years where you're complaining about this team. You took the money, be happy. You have 40 million reasons to be happy. Do it. But that Cleveland can't solve the quarterback position. And they mess it up as bad as a team I've seen mess it up this past year, And that's not even me being on either side of the Shador debate. I'm just like, we shouldn't be having a bigger debate on your 5th round pick than your 3rd round pick. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
You shouldn't be grabbing everybody that you grabbed. I think you did a disservice. Whether you like Gabriel or not, I think you did a disservice to him by drafting him 3rd and then still drafting a more high-profile person at 5th. So that, none of that made sense to me.
Yeah, Stefanski's not going to survive in that job, I don't think,
he can't.
after this year, because he was the one that wanted Gabriel because he thought Gabriel would fit his offense well. And that's fine. If you're a coach, you have that right to decide that kind of draft position. At the same time, the owner wanted Shador, and I think it was just to bring Shador in for publicity because Cleveland is Cleveland. So Shador is just the puppet that, you need a ride to get some kind of, and it's working because every other week we're trying to figure out what on a depth chart is Shador. So, and he's always saying, hey, I'm better than any of the quarterbacks in this room. I should be starting, which I don't necessarily disbelieve. But at the same time, I mean, it's all a drama. It's all a show. And
the Jerry Jones
they've never gotten that quarterback room right. And when they got it right, they let the guy go. So Cleveland's Cleveland.
Ooh, that's a good one, Jay Bake. I'm gonna play a clip and then we'll get back to that question because I like that one. Because we're talking about that division, he did have another clip for us real quick to check out. Oh my goodness, nobody needs to see that. Sorry, I apologize to everybody. Nobody needs to see that.
All right, obviously,
got beaten every way you can get beat. Very disappointed with that. Did not expect to see that. Thought we'd play a lot better than that based on the way we practiced. And hats off to them. They played a really good game, made a bunch of plays, did a great job on first down. We did not. Built a rhythm really throughout the game. We did not. So just a complete disappointment. And we're going to have to find a way to turn it around and figure out who we are this next week and then into the bye and after the bye. We're going to have more than half the season left, and we're going to have to find ourselves. So that's what our aim will be going forward.
I mean, the Texans had, 38 points in the first 3 games and dropped 44 on the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
A team that I thought, even after dropping the first couple and looking bad in the first couple games, would still be able to come back and win the division. And now you're just like, that dropping that first game to the Bills when you look so bad looks terrible. Helping the Chiefs get right looks terrible. And you can't even say it's the Lamar injury at this point. It's your defense is non-existent. You're getting a couple injuries. You signed Henry to an extension, and that's not going to work out if the team has a terrible year like this. Do you think Harbaugh survives this year, or do you think is there any other comments on Baltimore you want to make?
That's a good question. Harbaugh fans been coming after Harbaugh's job for the last 4 or 5 years, and they were doing good. Think about that. Right. It's just some of the game time decisions he
Absolutely
makes are terrible. Yeah, but some of the game time decisions he makes are not great. He's lost a couple of games because of them, and I think that they're just. He's been a coach there for how long? 18 years. How long has he been coach there? About 18 years. He's been like one of the longest tenure coaches besides Tomlin in that. But yeah, he's been there for a while. I think it's time for I like John, but it's time for him to go. It's time for him to go to a different situation, whether it be offense or defensive coordinator, or even a head coach in another team. The Ravens just not. They got rid of their defensive coordinators. The defensive coordinators that they had. That's the reason why they're not winning games.
Yeah,
So one's a coach in Seattle, and the other one's helping his brother out in L.A. So, with that being said, it's bad for Baltimore right now.
2008 is when he got there.
2008,
and
17 years.
And I think they put a lot on Lamar's shoulders as far as the playoff losses, and Harbaugh has kind of slipped by. Not to say that look. There's 2 people to me that are always going to get some kind of blame, head coach and the quarterback. So I'm never going to say Lamar is blameless. But when you see a team that's a run-heavy team lose to the Chiefs, and have, 6 rushes by their running backs, to me that's a coaching deficiency,
Mm-hmm.
And then you go get Henry, and we were charting it last year. If Henry got 20 carries, they won. And there were plenty of losses with 10, 11 carries. And I'm thinking, why go get the guy if you're not going to use them? You don't go get a nice flat screen, 85-inch OLED and then put it in a room that you never watch TV. And some of these decisions don't make sense. Plus, they're the team with the most blown leads, over the last 3 or 4 years too. I mean, they're the team that if they're up 2 touchdowns going into the 4th, you're still watching the entire game to see what could happen wrong versus what could happen right. So, no, it's just I don't know that he survives, and I don't, maybe it's just time for a change. You're obviously not going anywhere or getting rid of Lamar, but something has to change around the rest of that team. I mean, your 2 best receivers sometimes are both tight ends. That can't continue to happen either. So I would not be surprised. Which kind of leads you into
3 coaches in that conference are going to be gone. I think Stefanski will be gone. Zach will be gone. Zach Taylor will be gone, and Jim John. So.
Yeah,
that's what I think. I don't know if it's going to happen. And to answer Jay Bake's question, you guys are going to hang. I mean, New Orleans is going to hang on to Kellen Moore because it's his first year. He didn't have a whole bunch to work with in the first place.
Yes.
So
they had one of the worst talent. Sorry, go ahead. No, you've got it better, not you.
So I mean, he first year coaches and fire him immediately. I mean, unless if they're going 0-17, then I might think about firing you because you're not doing anything to improve the team.
Right.
But AG is another example of somebody I wouldn't fire. They're having a miserable
yeah.
season right now. They're 0-5, but I'm sure he's going to come around. The culture's got to change. You got to remember things that happened. Like, I'm a Lions fan, so I'm always used to disappointment. But when Dan Campbell came in, the team did not respond immediately by winning a whole bunch of games. I think they went they lost 12. They lost 11 games before they won their next game. So I believe Glenn is the same way. He's got to set up a culture. He's got to set up. Hey, we're here to win, and we got to have a winning culture here. I don't want to hear no and I'm sure in the off season, a lot of those players that are on that team right now are not going to be on that team at the end of the season because the morality of the team is what counts. And if they're not doing their job, and they don't want to do their job, they got to hit the door.
Then they're out.
So
yeah. No, I think in both those positions too, the reason why those guys might stick around is neither team has solved their quarterback position for the long term. So it's kind of hard to stick that with the current coaches and say, we know Fields and whatever you're throwing out at the Saints, they don't have their guy, So I feel like, especially with Kellen Moore being an offensive guy, I'm pretty sure he's in their ear saying, look, if we get a high draft pick, I want to pick the guy. So for the next year. And that's my boy, Jay Bake. He said he likes your thoughts. So
thank you, Jay Bake.
And yeah, that's the only reason why I think Kellen Moore. As an offensive guy, I think he might Ty Simpson. I mean, he's rising up up the charts, and Arch is sliding down and probably is not entering the draft anyway. That was before his slide, by the way. His team had already come out and said he's going 2 years in college, as a starter regardless. But no, I think if you're an offensive guy like Kellen Moore, you want to be able to pick your quarterback, and the draft will be a perfect time to do it. And then have your fate will kind of be tied to that person versus, them throwing out a couple guys that have already been there. Nobody thinks that they're going to be it. Glenn is an interesting one because he saw Candy said they might get the first year coach to be fired just because it's the Jets and they look terrible. So Fields is
I think that whole situation there is more of the Jets front office than it is a Glenn.
Yes,
because the Jets front office is malaligned too. They're kind of like the Cleveland version, and we don't know what we're going to get. See, when Dan came to Detroit, we got a new owner. Well, not a new owner, but somebody that wanted his football team to win out of the Ford family. And Sheila,
right.
And Sheila appointed people in those positions to want to win and make this a winning football team. And I think that's the same thing the Jets need to do. But then again, ownership could just be bad, and then you can't fire the owner obviously because he's the owner. So I don't know. The Jets got a way to go. They could do some Jet stuff like that and fire him after the first year. It wouldn't be fair to AG though. I don't think that would be fair.
No, I don't think so either. And this is one of those things though when you're kind of an up and coming coach and you take, sometimes you just grab a job. First off, the job openings are not great. It's not like the Chiefs' job is going to come open, next year. But you have to think some jobs were worse than others, and you hate the fact that anybody would take the Jets job because I just don't ever feel like there's hope when it's the Jets. There's two jobs I think I would always want to stay away from: the Jets and the Browns, because I feel like unless I got to be the GM also, or at least at the very least, just pick the quarterback. I mean, I don't know if two teams that continuously get everything wrong, everybody who leaves the Jets seems to be good everywhere else they go. So, and look at Baker. Baker's been balling out since the Browns decided he wasn't the guy. And Watson's been balling out, just not on the football field. He's taking that money and he's
that was great. That was great. I like that one. Definitely balling out.
Yeah. How about this one, Jay Bake? We'll get to your first question. The best available head coach job in the NFL at the end of the season. Honestly, I don't know how about good, but I wouldn't be surprised. And see, I think they're going to make the playoffs again because the division's falling apart. But I would have been surprised at the beginning of this year if Tomlin finally walked away from Pittsburgh at the end of this, and they got a fresh start. So I would have said Pittsburgh at some point, maybe. But
your comment about Reed in Kansas City might not be far fetched because if they don't do good this year, if they don't get into the playoff, well, I think they're going to get into the playoffs barely. But if they don't go into a Super Bowl, I can already see some of the Kansas City players. I mean, you got to remember, Patrick Mahomes is in his 8th or 9th year right now, and that whole team is getting older. And Kelsey will probably retire at the end of this season, just because he doesn't need an income. He's got Swifty, and then you got. I mean, their offensive line isn't the best anymore. Their defensive line, even Spagnuolo, I can see that Spags is not calling great defensive calls either anymore. I mean, he used to be that guy. He still is to a point, but I can see him finding a head coach job, actually, Spags. But I think if Reed retires, maybe Spags takes over. I don't know. But I think Reed will retire after this season if things don't go Kansas City's way.
That's actually an excellent point. That's an excellent point, which would be then, J-Bake, there's your answer. Chiefs it would be a great job. If you have the quarterback situation solved, to me, that's the first step before you take any other position. Especially if you're a defensive guy and you're going in there. You've got your quarterback, get you a good offensive coordinator, and then, run with it. So, and let's see, that's it's Fields. I think it's both, but he's not developed as a passer at all from what I've seen. So I don't think he's done himself any favors. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I'd say it's both. I think it's the situations he's been put in, plus his athletic talent as far as passing the ball. I was a big proponent of Justin Fields, and believe me, that's hard for me to do because he came from Ohio State. But but I think Chicago ruined him. Chicago ruined him.
Yep, and they're probably on their way with Caleb, depending on what side of that you're on. J-Bake had one last one before we get on the top of the hour. Any college coaches? That's tougher these days to see. College coaches don't traditionally do well in the NFL. So he mentioned Sark in there, but I think for Sark, this would be the worst time because you're going to have a bad year with what was supposed to be a generational talent. So you're probably at least one more year with Arch to see if you can get that right. So I don't think Sark leaves. My gut feeling. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of college coaches kind of stay away from it. You're either going to be two types of coaches in a football. You're either going to be a college coach or a pro coach. And when you're a pro coach, you usually start from the back and work your way up. With college coaches, they don't necessarily do very well unless your name is Jim. Jim Harbaugh seems to take any team he has and make them better. Yeah. But at the same time, you got Nick Saban failed when he came into the NFL. I mean, those are things that you got to look at. And college coaches all over will look at those histories and be like, nah, I'm not going to do nope. Especially with grown men that get paid, and I got to deal with all them egos. I'd rather stay with the kids where I can slap around a little bit, and, get the upper hand on. I can't do that with these players that are getting paid in the league. But now you got the kids that are getting paid, so now they're getting upper hand. So I can see why a lot, like you said before, I can see like a lot of old time coaches retiring
or getting out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And to your last point too, I think in college now, because I can recruit every year, it's easier to flip my team around than it is NFL. I joined a team in the NFL, and it might take me 3 or 4 years just to get out of there. But my owner wants it turned around in 2 versus college. I hate to say the Dion thing, but take in 50, 60 transfers and then you're good. So what's up, Latoya? Roll Tide to you. Raj, I echo your sentiment. I'd have no problem being a house husband instead of taking hits.
I know that's right.
But and Jim had prior NFL experience as head coach for San Francisco.
Yep. San Francisco took him to the Super Bowl. Played his brother in the Super Bowl.
Yep. And then I think Pete Carroll might be the only other one that transitioned pretty well from college.
Yeah, Pete Carroll would be another USC.
He had to run from USC because the trouble was coming. So anyway, that takes us right at the top of the hour. Bo, you were definitely missed. Probably getting a lot of text messages. Where's the best host of this guy? But Brian, you held it down, man. I sincerely appreciate you jumping in and saving me because an hour of just me talking by myself was not going to be good. So stay tuned to the channel. Coast to Coast is coming up next. And for us, we'll be back with you next week. Have a good morning, everybody.